You wouldn't expect a simple diner in a town like Elmidge to become the backdrop for a life-changing tale, but sometimes irony finds you in the most unremarkable places. Picture this: a faded little diner, once a bustling hub of laughter and warmth, now a shadow of its former self, just like the town it serves. Many nights as I wiped down the same booth my dad used to love, I couldn't help but wonder if it was all worth it. People called me stubborn, held up my tenacity as a burden, but I just wanted to hold on to the one piece of my family that felt like home. Every day was a fight against dwindling customers and rising bills, and with the main factory shut down, the heartbeat of the town was fading fast. Despair hung heavy in the air, like burnt toast left too long on the grill, familiar yet utterly unwanted. I'd watch from behind the counter as my regulars, once filled with dreams, traded their ambitions for resignation, whispering fearfully about outsiders, a band of bikers who had the nerve to show their colours in our struggling town. But life has a funny way of upending expectations. Just when it felt like doom was looming here, came Ralph, a weary Hell's Angel, whose very presence threatened to ignite the tensions simmering in Elmidge. That single moment, the one that could tip the scales, approached quicker than I ever could have prepared for. The diner, my dad's diner, stood on the brink of becoming something far more than just a place to grab a cup of coffee. It was about to become a crucible for courage. I still remember the looks on their faces the day I chose to stand up for what I believed in. It was a Tuesday diner's usual slow spot, but the air crackled with unease the moment Ralph walked in. Intrigued by the worn leather of his jacket, some patrons stiffened like a board. Murmurs filled the room, rising and falling like a repetitive tide. "What's he doing here?" someone blurted out under their breath. I caught snippets of whispered judgment swirling around me. Then just like that, the door swung open again. Two police officers filled the doorway, their presence suddenly suffocating. As they zeroed in on Ralph, I felt something nasty twist in my gut. "Is there a problem here, gentlemen?" I ventured. One officer chuckled, a laugh that dripped with condescension. "Just checking on this biker. Makes you feel safe, doesn't it, folks?" I glanced around. A woman sat in the corner, tears brimming in her eyes, while others averted theirs, avoiding my gaze. Who was I, just a diner owner to challenge the status quo? My heart raced, the weight of my decision pressing down like the dull ache in my back from endless hours at the counter. "Stop it," I finally said, my voice steadier than I felt. "He's just a man trying to have a meal like everyone else." The silence that followed was heavy, as if everyone was holding their breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop. The scornful glares from my regulars stung more than the shouts. I anticipated. "You're siding with him," they muttered, disbelief hanging in the air like smoke. I didn't need their approval, but still, the rejection cut deep. "For a traitor, you sure are bold." One man spat when I defended Ralph late that night, but I kept my chin up. That small act of courage opened a door, one that would soon let in everything I feared and hoped for. I had never backed down from a challenge. This was no different, even if it pushed me to the edge of what I thought I could endure. I could sense the tension building, like a storm on the horizon, and I was ready to own every moment, no matter how hard it got. Everything changed the day I chose to stand for what I believed in. Let's be real, I didn't expect a medal. What I got instead from Elmidge was the cold shoulder, like a suddenly popular town decided to make me their personal enemy. The boycott started small, of course. Oh, we can't enjoy the meatloaf if that Hell's Angel is in there. I swear one guy gave me a look like I'd just suggested we all wear clown shoes to the mayor's meeting. Week after week, the diner felt emptier. You could hear the echoes of my own desperation more clearly than ever as I wiped down coffee-stained tables, pretending every clank of a cup wasn't a reminder of my dwindling bank account. My own community turned their backs on me like I was asking for a favour, not risking it all to help a stranger. I even got a note taped to the door, "No traitors in Elmidge." Classic. A real winner there. I should frame it, or maybe just set it on fire. Funny thing was, as the town put up walls, the bikers were tearing them down, showing me the real backbone of camaraderie. I learned things about Ralph. Turns out he has a daughter sick with cancer. He didn't come looking for trouble, he was just trying to cross the street. I half wondered if I should write an apology card to the town. Sorry I made you confront your judgments. Hope you enjoy your next bread and water meal. Every time I walked into that diner, the strain hung in the air like stale fries. But underneath it all, there was this tiny ember of determination flickering. I was frustrated, sure, but I wasn't giving up. Not now, not ever. And I'd be darned if I let Elmidge define who I was, or who I could be. Sometimes the world needs a little chaos to shake itself awake. Who knows, maybe I was the storm this tired old town needed to finally see the light. The diner felt like a sinking ship. Customers trickled out, pitying glances from neighbours cut deeper than any words. Then came that night. Laurel stood behind the counter, hands trembling. The clock ticked steadily, echoing the weight of defeat. She blinked against the shadows creeping in. Then a roar. Engines thundering closer. Vibrations rolled through the building, rattling dishes. Her heart raced. Bikers. An army of leather and chrome. They rolled in one after another like waves crashing against the shore. She could do nothing but watch as they flooded the diner. Ralph stepped in the same mix of weariness and defiance etched into his face. At that moment, everything shifted. The air thickened with uncertainty, but the bikers weren't there to wreak havoc. No. They came with laughter, with camaraderie. They filled empty booths, shared stories, and brought warmth to the diner that had felt so cold and abandoned. A man in a leather jacket leaned over to Laurel. "You served us coffee, we serve you back." It wasn't a threat, it was a promise. The room erupted with chatter music of connected hearts and reformed bonds. Laurel served plates piled high, doing her best to catch the eyes of both her new patrons and her old. In a corner, she caught Ralph's gaze, a silent understanding simmering. "Thank you," he mouthed, his eyes gleaming with something raw hope. Hope lit a fire in her chest, and in that moment it was all she needed. The diner pulsed with life, the walls soaked with laughter, the air alive with the scent of fries and freedom. She felt an ember igniting. No more fear, no more hiding. The strength surged through her. It was time for courage to ignite the community. Laurel wasn't just running a diner anymore. She was a beacon, and nothing could dim that light. V. Revenge. Resolution. As the town council meeting swelled with anticipation, the air was thick with unspoken tension. An eclectic mix of residents filled the room, whispering amongst themselves. In the corner, Laurel leaned against the wall, her stomach tight with nerves. Today, her diner's fate would hang in the balance, and she felt every pair of eyes dissecting her resolve. Then, in a moment that felt like it stretched into eternity, Ralph's daughter Marina rose from her seat. The room fell silent as she approached the front, her small frame trembling slightly. With tears brimming in her eyes, she began to speak, her voice quivering but clear. Laurel stood up for my dad when no one else would. She believed in us when everyone else turned away. The emotion in her words resonated like a powerful chord echoing through the hearts of those who had once cast judgment. The wooden table before the council members felt heavy as they listened to Marina narrate the ripple effect of one woman's bravery. She spoke of community lost, then regained a fragile connection, stitched together by understanding. Each sentence painted a picture, a collage of shared meals, laughter, and the warmth of a diner that taught her father there was still good in the world. When it was time to vote, the council's gavel seemed to hang in the air like a hammer poised above a glass. Laurel's breath caught the weight of possibility, thick and suffocating. And then, like the swelling crescendo of a long-awaited anthem, the decision passed in her favour. Relief washed over her like a summer rain, cleansing the doubts and fears that had plagued her for so long. As she stepped outside the town hall, the sun broke through the clouds, illuminating the faces of familiar townsfolk and their unexpected supporters mingling in newfound camaraderie. When Ralph approached her with a firm handshake and quiet gratitude, that simple gesture carried with it the weight of every trial they endured. Standing against the backdrop of her diner, a quiet smirk played at the corners of Laurel's mouth, the kind that said, "I did it." But she also knew that success doesn't erase the scars left by the journey. It simply transforms them into badges of honor. In that moment, she realized that the fight was not just for her diner, but for a community learning to embrace the beauty of connection amid adversity. As I stand behind this counter, now bustling with life and laughter, I can't help but reflect on the journey that brought us here. It's remarkable how the decision to stand for what is right can redefine not just one person's life, but an entire community. In defending Ralph, I didn't just challenge the deep-seated prejudices of Elmidge. I also confronted my own fears. I learned that power isn't just about who has the louder voice or the thicker wallet. It's about the strength found in vulnerability, in choosing empathy over fear, and standing up for the truth even when it's inconvenient. But here's where the conversation gets messy, and I invite you to ponder this. Is revenge on those who've wronged us ever truly justified? Some might argue that taking that step can feel empowering, but here in this diner, we've seen how acts of kindness can dismantle walls built on misunderstanding, turning would-be enemies into allies. Have we all, at one point or another, been tempted to take matters into our own hands and retaliate? What does it say about our character when we choose love over revenge? In the end, what lingers isn't just the taste of coffee or the warmth of friendship forged through struggle. It's the question, can we find justice in mercy? So I turn it over to you. What have you learned through your own struggles with trust and power? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. Together, we can weave the tapestry of our lives into something truly beautiful.